The girl that cried wolf, Angel Reese, you put out a racial hoax. There should be consequences. Angel Reese is a lie. Angel Reese has lied before. I'm no longer a WNBA fan. The Fever never, ever even stand up and ask for apology. They just take this bull. When there were no comments, there were no noises. The Chicago Sky are full of shit. The Indiana Fever are full of shit. Why are you not standing up to some 22-year-old girl that makes fake allegations against an entire fan base? But I'm no longer a WNBA fan because of all the racist African-American lesbian women that can't accept anybody other than themselves, or little white girls that, of course, acquiesce to the lesbian African-American women. But let me go back. Caitlin Clark got hurt. So Caitlin Clark gets hurt. And the Fever get their ass kicked yesterday and score 20 points below what they normally do. But that's not really the story. The story is this. The Fever, led by Mel Raines as their president, who was brought in here to do all this great stuff, are spineless. We deserve, Fever fans, accountability. We deserve it. We deserve accountability in the wake of Angel Reese's latest race hoax. We deserve this. Us sports fans are subjected to nonsensical lies pushed by liberal media attempted to sow division in our country without accountability and without consequence. That should not be the way it is. You put out, particularly in this environment, a racial hoax. There should be consequences, whether you are Angel Reese or whether you are one of the dumbasses, the myriad of dumbasses that participate in accentuating the racial hoax. It's just the way it is. Let's go through a timeline. Here's Angel Reese lying about the fans in Indianapolis.
Obviously, there's no place in this league for that. I think the WNBA, our team and our organization has done a great job supporting me. I've had communication from everyone, from so many people across this league, and being able to support me and going through this whole process. Obviously, it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone, and I think they've done a great job supporting us in this.
How did it affect you Saturday, trying to do your job, trying to play, and having this going on simultaneously?
Yeah, obviously it's tough, but I think I have a great support system. I'm loved by so many people, and obviously in the moment it's hard to hear, but my support system is great. God has protected me in so many different ways. I've gone through so many different things in the past couple of years of my life, but I think just having this support and this love and being a part of an organization that really supports me and loves me is something that I couldn't imagine not being a part of.
What do you think the league's response, just coming out right away and getting that investigation going?
Yeah, obviously, like I said, they understand that this is the priority. Obviously, there's no place for this, and they preach. I think 2 days before they put out no hate, no speech. And obviously, the women in this league, they know that, and know there's no space for that. And I believe that every player in this league deserves to be treated with respect and want to come to work and just have fun and have a great environment to work at. So I think they've done a great job putting that out, and we're obviously just going to respond if they need to.
Well, she's full of shit. So look at all these dipshit reporters. Why doesn't one of them say, "What'd you hear? What'd you hear?" Now, you know someone's stupid when they say, I got a great support system. She was told what to say. You can tell she's really stupid. I mean, her grades apparently in LSU, whatever they were. But she's really stupid. I mean, you know that. But these reporters are worse. Not one of it, what'd you hear? What specific? When did you hear it? Why did you keep playing? But nobody wants to ask that because everybody. Why are you afraid of some little girl that is a moron? I don't get it. Here's Chimmy, whatever the hell her name is, peddling more racist bullshit without a shred of evidence. This really pisses me off because the Fever never, ever even stand up and ask for apology. Nothing. They just take this bullshit, and I'm a fan. Go ahead.
Comes growing pains. I don't want to live in a WNBA where I believe all fans are bad or most fans are bad or certain fans of certain teams are bad. I can't live in a WNBA like that. But still, you have to understand that there's some language from maybe a few bad actors that were caught up in microphones or by the ears of players that were out of bounds, which caused the WNBA to make an investigation.
How stupid are you? Like, I hate to just call everybody stupid that are out of bounds. What? How about having a brain and understanding what I'm going to show you next, that Angel Reese is a liar. That Angel Reese has lied before. That Angel Reese has officially become, even before this, the little girl that cried wolf. How dumb are you, Chimmy, whatever they are? Don't live in the league. I don't want to live in a media environment where people like this Chimmy lady are so stupid, so racist, so accepting of bullshit and spreading lies. I don't want to live in that world. You take your fat ass and don't live in that world, Chimichanga. Go do your NBA stuff where you make yourself look really dumb every single time you open your mouth. This lady, Chimmy, they asked her yesterday. I happened to turn on ESPN, and they asked this clown whether or not, can Kevin Durant lead a team to a championship? Oh, yes. Really? They didn't make the playoffs last year. And then she talked about private sources behind the scenes, and she said what's in every newspaper. She is the epitome of DEI. I never paid attention to her level of stupid. But now, listening to that, you're like, I can't stop paying attention to this level of stupid. All right, let's throw it back last year. Let's throw it back last year where, well, the girl that cried wolf, Angel Reese, I don't know. She said that, quote, they were called, her team was called ghetto bitches and couldn't get off the bus and couldn't get to the hotel. This is what she said they were called. Well, it proves a guy never called anybody anything. Here's the video of that.
Miss Carter, have you got the chance to reach out to Caitlin?
Hey, man, come on with that.
Relax. Have you got a chance to reach out to Caitlin? Trinity, have you gotten a chance? The basketball world wants to know if you've gotten a chance to reach out to her.
Obviously, they were never called anything. Nothing. Zero. But they said they had been called those horrible names. That's the boy that cried wolf, the girl that cried wolf. Notice that Reese and company stopped discussing the matter after a video from the scene was released. In the video, the man in question did not harass, storm at, threaten, or get in the face of any players, as was alleged. None of it. None of it. And my dog's even mad about it. My dog is even upset about it. And everybody's mad about it. Didn't block them from getting off the bus. Didn't call them that name. Didn't call them anything. Nothing. The word bitches was never used. I never heard the word ghetto. I never heard anything. Neither. None. But that's what they had said. Angel Reese and her teammates had said they got called. If you notice, they stopped talking about it. They completely stopped talking about it. Let's also go last week. ESPN led the Monday edition of First Take discussing the investigation. Monica McNutt declared she was fed up with racist comments and unsafe conditions. What? You ever been to a Fever game? I have. It's a bunch of little girls wearing number 22 jerseys. Yellow, gold, whatever color. Fever color, red. A lot of red. I mean, what are you talking about? Because somebody that cried wolf said she couldn't get in was called bitches in other words? And it turned out to be a stone lie? What are you talking about? Monica McNutt declared she's fed up with the racist comments and unsafe conditions. What? Okay, be fed up. With what? Stephen A. Smith said he appreciates it when stupid white people make racist remarks because it exposes them. What? Chimmy reported that her sources told her the matter was serious. No, it wasn't. I know the usher. I know everybody there. No, it was never a thing. In fact, I told you this before. The WNBA had a problem. And the problem wasn't the alleged comments. The problem was they knew it was bullshit. How do we release it? How do we release it? And so what they do is they released it right before 60 to 90 minutes before the biggest NBA game in Indianapolis in a long, long time. So they released their bullshit. And they released it such that, okay, it'll blow over. Well, it doesn't blow over. But honest to God, and my pissed offness is nothing to do with I like the WNBA. I want the WNBA to succeed. I love following what Caitlin Clark and her team is doing. I've said they're going to win a championship. They're going to be the number one story. But I'm pissed off because all of this bullshit was said about people that I know, that I have lived with, people that go to games in Indianapolis. When I go to a game in Indy, hey, Dakich, hey, take a picture. Hey, it's not like Charles Barkley or anything like that, but I've had a love affair with basketball in Indiana for a long-ass time. My whole life, basically, ever since I was a 16 or 17-year-old, jumped on the scene in the state finals, then played at Indiana, then coached. And all of a sudden, you're going to say and lump everybody in as a racist when there were no comments, there were no noises, there were no ghetto whatever. There was none of that to this team. But they lie. And then there's no repercussions. Chimmy, whatever the hell her name is, goes along. Stephen A. Smith, I'll tell you this, you let people show them who they are like Ryan Clark. By the way, Ryan Clark, SGA, has a white wife too, just like Halliburton. Oh, my God, we may have the first mute NBA Finals. No, they're full of shit. And they're full of shit about my people. You're going to be full of shit about New York. I'm not going to get fired up. Chicago, L.A., Cincinnati, St. Louis. I don't care. But I know how much the people of Indianapolis love basketball. And I know how full of shit Angel Reese and her clowns are. And it pisses me off that Mel Raines and the folks that run the Indiana Fever don't have the balls, excuse my whatever, to say to the WNBA, this is bullshit. We demand an apology from everybody. But they didn't. We're so glad that they investigated. Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. So, ESPN's phrasing of their headlines implies her fake racism allegations are still true. That's what ESPN did. Here's Clay Travis. Look at how at ESPN even covers Angel Reese fake bullshit racist allegations in their headline. And story unable to verify. Even this headline implicitly assumes her racist allegations are still true. They were never true. They were total bullshit. And the Chicago Sky should be made to apologize to all of us. Innocent citizens get made out to be villains. And what's particularly shameful is that their targets, as Bobby Bragg, are sometimes private citizens. No, they're all the time private citizens. They're people that pay a lot of money to go to Fever games. They're people that pay a lot of money to watch, to enjoy. I mean, hell, people in Indiana actually would respect Angel Reese and the competition that it brings and the rivalry that it brings if she wasn't such a liar, a race-baiting racist. They would respect it. They loved Reggie Miller against Michael. Loved Reggie Miller, Dale Davis fighting with Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. We love Hicks versus Knicks going on right now. Love it. Awesome. Embrace Halliburton and freaking Brunson going at it. Love it. Absolutely love it. No problem here. We love basketball. Love going to games. But to put everybody in this little pot is total and complete bullshit with no protection from the organization of the Fever to say, hey, stop it. And what's particularly shameful is that the targets are sometimes private citizens. The fans investigated for taunting Reese were innocent ticket-buying Americans. Deadspin framed an innocent child. The fan falsely accused of yelling racial slurs at Duke volleyball game was a child with autism. That's what we do. One bullshit allegations, whether it's up there up in Chicago or whether it's here in Indianapolis, and now everybody's got to deal with it. Why? Because nobody puts a stop to it. The league, Kathy Engelbert, is full of shit. The Chicago Sky are full of shit. The Indiana Fever are full of shit. They're all gutless. Why are you not standing up to some 22-year-old girl that makes fake allegations against an entire fan base? Why? In fact, it's your most important fan base, if you must know the truth. Caitlin Clark's fans are the most important fans in this league. They may be the only important fans in this league. You saw it last night with a half-filled arena. And it's bullshit that nobody will stand up. It's not surprising in this day and age that when somebody like, I don't know, Angel Reese or somebody like the Chicago Sky franchise, it's not surprising that people like that allow it. The Chicago Sky franchise has showed themselves to be gutless this entire time without apology. It's not surprising somebody does that. What is surprising is that when you are the person accused of it, you don't stand up for yourself. And that is bullshit. Bullshit. So there you go. I've said bullshit a lot today. Makes me crazy. You enjoying the show? Everything good? Of course you are. Make sure you head on over to youtube.com at OutKick or /@OutKick/videos to like, comment, and subscribe. That way you'll never miss any of our great content. We're going to have 10 o'clock. We're going to have Trey Wallace live from the SEC meeting. Speaking of the woke, ESPN's Mark Spears, Minnesota Timberwolves forward Reid, reflected on the 5th anniversary of George Floyd's death by stating in part, "We are in a better place since that situation, and the city is more connected and understanding of each other." I don't know, man. I don't know. I get a lot of intel on Minneapolis. Seems to be a lot of bad stuff going on there, a lot of murders, a lot of division. I don't know. You can say it is. How does burning your city to the ground, leaving it ransacked? Now, it may be good for a millionaire basketball player, but I would have to ask business owners, is this better off? Yeah, maybe you understand each other. Really, how do you define that? It's like the Supreme Court judge said, right? The Supreme Court judge said, hey, when asked about pornography, I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it. So how are you defining that? How are you? I feel like we're in a better place, of course, for a billionaire, but what about the small business owner? I know small business owners. See, downtown Indy, 5-year anniversary of the riots, when I worked downtown, I would walk around. I'd go to this one pizza place. There was a great Thai place right there that I'd get lunch at. I'd go to the Starbucks. We had a tradition that I would pay, but all the interns, one of them a day, would have to go to the Starbucks. That place had to close down. All kind of businesses left. Is it better for them? Is it better for them? I don't know. I really don't know. It doesn't seem like it is. I know in Indy it's not better for the business owners. It's worse. They can't reopen their business, and the mayor of Indianapolis did nothing to help them. He was more concerned with bail for the criminals that murdered a guy we referred to, Chris Beatty, as Mr. Indiana, former football player at Indiana, that around the time of the riots was helping a lady who was getting robbed. He ended up getting shot. No, it's crazy. It's bullshit. So I don't know. Maybe in Minneapolis it is, but you're going to have to explain to me. I get it. It's probably great for a basketball player that lives in Minnetonka or on a lake somewhere, comes in for a game and has everybody loving him. Maybe it's better for Reid, but you have a hard time convincing me based on what's going on in Indianapolis. I feel like we're in a better place, especially since that situation. Made it more detrimental, aside from obviously the tragedy, was that the time that we were in the coronavirus pandemic, everyone was trying to figure out their way out in life and what they were going to be doing. Yeah, I don't know what that means. There are a bunch of positives. The city is more connected, more understanding of each other. At that time, it was definitely vulnerable because there was a lot going on in the city. It's been a great city since then. Really? Let's talk about it. Really, Nas? I mean, I get it. You're a $20 million basketball player, but let's talk about it. $500+ million in property damage. Who's fixing that? I don't know. Approximately half of the destroyed properties have not been redeveloped. What's going on with that? Leaving behind vacant lots and blighted buildings. Many small businesses, especially minority-owned businesses, were unable to recover from the damage. Who's fixing that? I get it, Nas. You got billions, baby. You got millions in the bank. Does other people? No. And financial losses, they close permanently. Same thing happened here in Indy. Indy, we try to fake you. Indy, if you go around, we've got boards on the buildings, and they're painted up nice, particularly when we have a Final Four or something, or a WNBA All-Star. They're painted nice, so you think there's actually a business in there. There's not. No, there's not. And it sucks for everybody. Now, in Indy, it's a ghost town. I assume it's the same way in Minneapolis. Police staffing shortages and recruitment are struggling because people know they're not supported, and that's bullshit. That's total bullshit. So, I don't know, Nas. Good for you, man. I get it. Y'all want to sit there and go, oh, yeah, but we talk to each other now. Do you really? Do you really? Maybe. All I know is, and I'm very glad we brought this up today because I was just downtown Indy at the Pacer game a couple weeks ago, and I saw it. I'm like, man, it still hasn't come back. Still. And I know people, black and white, that lost their businesses. I had an African-American guy tell me, I don't know what the hell to do. The government didn't protect me. The city didn't protect me. This is a direct quote. They were more worried about those criminals than they were about us that had businesses here. And I'm never coming back because, well, one, I don't want to come back, but two, I don't think I can. I don't think I can afford it. So what do you do then? You go work in the mill? You go, what do you do? You're a business guy. You've worked your ass off to build a business, and next thing you know, it's gone. Why? And if somebody's going to try to tell you, well, the town is better? I don't know, man. Maybe. Maybe it is. Apparently, Terry Bradshaw, former Steelers great, doesn't like and is not on board with the idea of bringing in 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Terry Bradshaw got a little pissed off. And I think it's bullshit what Terry Bradshaw said here. I do. But we'll get into it. Telling the future Hall of Famer, go back to California. Wow. While Joy Reid on FS1 went off on Rodgers for not being present day one of the Steelers' OTAs. Apparently, it's open season. See, I don't know, man. If I'm Terry Bradshaw, I get it. You're an icon. I get it. You should state how you feel, and I have no problem with it. But the whole go back to California, chew on bark, I don't know. You know, I also get that older guys, and I'm one of those guys, think, well, you can win with anyone. That's kind of bullshit what he says here about Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. It's kind of personal, and I think it's kind of stupid.
What do you think about possibly Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback? That's a joke. He shouldn't. That is just, to me, is a joke. What are you going to bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? I mean,
that's not the Steelers' way, right?
No, man. That guy needs to stay in California and go, somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there.
100%. These guys on the show, Mr. Bradshaw, know I'm not a fan of his. We've been around each other personally, and he was not a kind person.
Now, he does not. I had to go over and introduce myself to him. He's not. I had to go, hey, Aaron, I'm Terry Bradshaw. I know he knows me, but I just felt like I better tell him who I am. Yeah. And not, you walk in there and you get in his presence and you feel like it's going to start snowing.
What the hell is that? Like, and the douchebags that are, ha, 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 tee, hee, tee. What the hell is that? I mean, I get it. You don't like Aaron Rodgers. Fine. You don't like his politics. Fine. But what does it mean when it's going to start snowing? I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart to understand it. If I were the Steelers, I'd want a quarterback in there that could play. I don't think Mason Rudolph is the guy that can play. But what bullshit by Rodgers? Like, what is he talking about? If somebody's listening to this, tell me what you think he's talking about. I was standing and I think he's got to snow. He also said something like, hey, look, I had to introduce myself. Well, that's on you, dumbass. That's not on Rodgers. What, Rodgers, whatever event you were at, I'm sure Aaron Rodgers was just sitting there or whatever. What's he supposed to do? Come over and genuflect to your old ass? What's he supposed to do? Hey, how are you? Now, you decide you're going over to a man and you feel the need to introduce yourself. That's on you. That's not on Aaron Rodgers. Look, I'll rip Aaron Rodgers like he needs to be ripped. I don't care. I mean, I personally wanted Aaron Rodgers here in Indy because I think it's interesting. I personally would want Aaron Rodgers there in Pittsburgh, particularly if Aaron Rodgers has been working out. Why wouldn't you? What are you, nuts? But it's bullshit what Terry Bradshaw did right there. Aaron Rodgers didn't seem to do anything to Terry Bradshaw other than not play great football last year and apparently live his own life while deciding where he's going to spend, if anywhere, the rest of his NFL career. Joy Taylor of FS1, she jumped on the bandwagon too. Here she is.
Why? Why? This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have six Lombardies. They're coached by first ballot Hall of Fame Mike Tomlin.
They don't have a
never
quarterback.
Had a losing
they don't have a
season.
quarterback.
And we're sitting around talking about Aaron Rodgers is not there on the first day of OTAs. Mandatory or not, where's your pride? Where's your dignity?
That's why I say I'm going to give him another day.
Where's your respect for the game? Where's your respect for this organization? Where's this organization's respect for the history that they have in this league? What are we talking about? He's never played there before. He doesn't know any of these teammates. He doesn't know the streets to get to the facility. He doesn't know the doctors. He doesn't know the rehab crew. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know where to get his smoothies. Nothing. It's like, why would you not be there? Why am I supposed to take this seriously? It's not about him not being at non-mandatory OTAs for a team that he's been with for 22 years. Do what you want to do. You won 5 games last year. The year before that, you didn't play because you tore your Achilles. The year before that, you missed the playoffs. What are we talking about? Now you got me crashing out, Paul.
No. I kind of agree with her. All right, let's be honest. She gave all the numbers that Aaron Rodgers has done here of late. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I want to reverse those numbers back to where I was a great player, I don't know. Wouldn't I be at camp? I don't know. Wouldn't I be where I'm supposed to be? I don't know. It didn't work out when you were in Egypt, when you were with the Jets. So and again, I say this, and I agree with Joy Taylor there. She's not wrong. Now, I know what Keyshawn Johnson's saying. He's saying it like what an NFL player should. These are voluntary, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I don't even know if they're voluntary, truthfully. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't have a contract, so he doesn't have, under no obligation, and nobody knows for sure. But if I am Aaron Rodgers, and he has alluded to playing with the Steelers, he just did it last week. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, my ass is in there if I'm trying to turn this whole narrative around. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying she ain't wrong with this. She said what he has done. And what he has done since the whole Green Bay slide has been nothing. Okay, he got hurt. But when he played last year, team was bad. They wanted no part of him. His numbers weren't terrible, but they wanted no part of him. So, and I think this is what Joy Taylor is saying, if you want to turn this around, get your ass in camp. Sign the contract if that's eventually what you're going to do. Now, if he doesn't sign with Pittsburgh, then she's wrong. It's that simple. If he doesn't sign, then he obviously would have no obligation. But she's not wrong there. She's damn right. Get your ass into camp to turn around what you have done over the last couple of years, because that's who you are right now. Aaron Rodgers is not the Super Bowl winning Aaron Rodgers, is not the MVP winning Aaron Rodgers of a few years ago. At least he's not going to be to the team that picks him up. He's going to be this version of Aaron Rodgers. So you have pushed the limits. You have gone in and acted as the Messiah, the coach, the all-encompassing. You basically have acted above the team. So it didn't work. And she pointed it out. She's right. Hell yeah, she's right. Maybe I'm thinking like a coach, but get your ass into camp and do some shit. That's it. I mean, it ain't that hard. All right, let's go back to the WNBA. What about Caitlin Clark? Is Paige Beckers going to be better than Caitlin Clark? Now, remember, everything stated by the WNBA is stated under the jaundiced eye of race and sex. Caitlin Clark, while she has bent the knee, everybody in the WNBA knows that she bent the knee. She's still a straight white girl that handles herself like a straight white girl. Paige Beckers is one of those little girls, and little guys, actually, that we've all seen that gets a tad racially confused. You know, tries to talk different, that kind of stuff. So naturally, and her sexual orientation is apparently towards the ladies. So, of course, that's going to ingrain her to Diana Taurasi. She also went to UConn. Where'd Taurasi go? UConn. So I don't pay much attention to this, but I'm glad we're mentioning it. Diana Taurasi went on record to state that she believes Paige Beckers will one day be the best player in the WNBA. Now, my guys on this are saying that when you cower to the woke lesbian crowd, you're going to get that kind of shine. Maybe. I would also say she also went to UConn. She won a championship. Taurasi probably looks at Beckers like, she really wasn't a threat to my legacy at UConn. Won't be a threat here, so I might as well talk good about. Trossi, Gino Auriemma, and the Yukon Mafia were angry, obviously, and wrong about Caitlin Clark's immediate impact into the WNBA. Her time is coming, her day of reckoning, blah, 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 blah. Paige Becker's pretty good. The WNBA, it's a different beast. There's different challenges, as individual, as a team. When you get drafted number one, you usually go to a team that's rebuilding, starting to try something new. A lot of challenges when you get to a team in the franchise that's rebuilding, and you kind of have to change your outlook on wins and losses. True. And the one thing I know about Paige, she's so grounded. True. So patient, so prepared. She learned that in the last 4 or 5 years, and all those things that she learned at UConn, see, I told you, are going to change the way you look at the team. One day, she's going to end up being the best player in the league for sure. Okay. All right. Hey, Davey, do you think this is a race thing or a lesbian or a UConn thing? What do you think this is?
I would say right now the UConn thing's the leader in the clubhouse, Dan, obviously subject to change. But you know how, like, the fraternity of just going to that same school, you often see a lot of the greats and alumni also talk about the up-and-coming players that also graduated from there.
Yeah, I think it's as much a UConn thing as anything else. I do. I'm not saying it is all. I'm not saying there isn't that amorous, right, to Caitlin Clark, and you're always trying to get a little shot in and all that kind of stuff, right? But I think this is more of a UConn, sisterhood kind of thing as opposed to anything else. Could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Hey, by the way, while I got you, Davey, Pacers, you taking a -4, you taking a Knicks +4?
I think the Pacers get the gentleman's sweep, and I think they cover, Dan. I think same thing. Did you end up taking my advice and going with the Panthers money line last night?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
Good.
That was scary early.
Hey,
that didn't look good early.
three periods for a reason.
I did. As soon as you said it, I actually did it during one of our breaks or whenever you told me. I can't remember, but yeah, I got it. Hell yeah, I took the Panthers.
Good.
But it was when it was 2-0. They were trying to buy me out for pennies on the dollar, but I wasn't having it, Davey. I was trusting in Davey Hudson, baby.
Let it ride,
yeah.
Dan. Let it ride.
Yeah. All right. Here's the deal. Dan, would this be difficult for you or could you care less? All right. This is interesting. I didn't know this. Michele Beadle revealed that she has an issue with how all NBA selections are voted on by members of the media, which then directly impacts if players are able to become eligible for Supermax contract extensions. You got to be voted first, second, or whatever team, NBA, to get the Supermax. And the voting is not done by players. The voting is done by the media. Yeah, man, I don't know. It alters livelihood, stating it should not be Michele Beadle's place to affect millions and millions of dollars for a man I don't know. Hey, here's Michele Beadle on this. I'm not mad at this.
By the way, the money thing is weird. And I used to have a vote in this, and it always made me very, very uncomfortable. And I think it was the year Tatum was up for something, and I was like, it should not be Michele Beadle's place to affect millions and millions of dollars for a man I don't know. And so you kind of have to do the right thing there. And in this case, both Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley will earn an extra $45 million.
I tell you what, she's not wrong. Now, I would argue it's not my place or her place to, take millions and millions of dollars from a dude or woman I do know. But, that happens in divorce. See Michael Jordan. But you get what we're saying here. So the media votes on the Supermax deal. Here is notable players who've been snubbed by the All-NBA votes. Listen to this, it cost Jaren Jackson Jr. approximately $200 million in lost contract value because he missed out by a very little bit. Siakam pre-trade to the Pacers, $100 million in lost contract value, $39 million in lost contract value. Davey, I don't know, man. I mean, you put incentives in contracts, and one of those incentives is, all right, to get the absolute supermax, you got to be, I think it's first, second, or third team All-NBA. And that's not voted on, but I don't know. It doesn't seem right to me that, Slappy Johnny, the AP voter, can affect how much money you make from a team when your value to the team is different than my value to my other team might be. I don't know, Davey. Where are you at on this?
I definitely think that'll get changed in the next CBA, Dan, for the NBA. You look at this, it sucks because, we've talked about how these voters, a lot of times, they're not even that involved as far as they're not watching every single game. They don't see how this all plays out. So I completely agree that while I'm totally fine with, the incentives in the contract as far as all right, you make an all-star team, you get this much more, but I don't think the NBA should have it set up to where it's to qualify for a Supermax, this has to be one of the criteria that's met.
I agree. I'm like, I think you got to change it. Now, I get incentives. I get somebody saying, hey, you make first team all-league, we're going to give you this. But, man, I don't know. Being voted on. I remember a few years ago, Jaylen Brown, maybe it was last year, I don't know, Jaylen Brown sent handwritten thank you notes to all the voters that voted for him, right? I don't know, Davey. I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world, but I don't think it's the best thing either. I agree with you. I think this will have to be addressed. What an astute observation. Mayor Pete, go get him, Mayor Pete. You're growing a beard. You want to look like a real boy? I don't know. He does look good in a beard, though. I'm not going to lie. I think he does. He looks rugged. I can't grow one. I just look homeless, as my wife says. Hey, look, dress better if you're going to go with a beard. Anyway, Buttigieg hopped on Tim Miller's podcast, voiced what millions of Americans have known for years. Democrats are a bunch of condescending assholes. Yeah. Here's Mayor Pete.
Look, there's, Democrats have created this impression, I think partly because of the way we feel and talk about Trump, have created this impression that translates into the way we feel and talk about people who supported him. And that's the thing that I think really is a cultural struggle in our party. There's this sense of condescension. If I hear one more time, a well-off liberal doctor or lawyer saying, that quote unquote, these folks are voting against their economic interests. I just wonder whether they ever contemplated the fact that somebody could turn around and say, so are you. There's a condescension that is imputed to Democrats that I think we really need to deal with. So much of politics is not just how you make people feel, but how you make people feel about themselves. And so much of what they think of you comes down to what they think you think of them. And largely because of our very justified horror at the abuses of Donald Trump as a candidate and as a president, we've said and done things that make voters feel like we're talking about them when we're talking about him.
Yeah, everybody talks about all these abuses. What are they? Because you're mad at judges? Yeah, Mayor Pete, of course, isn't fooling anyone with his I'm not like the rest of them shtick. He's attempting to pull it off. This is David Hook said. This is the same man who seems to think it's possible for roads and infrastructure to be racist. We're not dealing with a serious person. Absolutely nobody is buying this pivot. Yeah, he bought into the whole bullshit, and he had to. He was a nobody, actually a bad mayor in South. We call him Pothole Pete in South Bend, and all of a sudden he gets elevated because he is the poster child, LGTB, ABCD, BBQ, whatever the hell it is. And he and Chasen or Chiston or whatever the hell the guy's name is, they're wearing fake boobs and, trying to breastfeed. So he was and is still the poster child. Now he's trying to pivot a little bit and become the anti-them. Yeah, I don't think people are buying it. I will say this, though. Mayor Pete is well-spoken. I will. Mayor Pete, when you listen to him, he seems a bit earnest. Now, again, obviously can be bought and sold, and that's not good. But having said that, we ain't buying it. All right, when we come back, Mike Vrabel, friend of the show, he got a lot going on. And at 10 o'clock, our good buddy, the legendary, the great Trey Wallace joins. We got a monster for you. We're friends with the monster. We'll be right back.